Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Didanti Swam Vedantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vidantam Chijivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Vicha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchan Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamani Haripriya Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Bhajitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. When Srila Prabhupada was in South Africa, he gave a talk the 19th of October, 1975. You can think back, 1975, where were you? I think Savakanti went to the town hall and heard and saw Prabhupada. Some of us weren't born. You were born? Yeah. So Prabhupada said, Krishna speaks and we speak. Krishna hears and we hear. Krishna tastes and we taste. But we see, speak and taste. Krishna does it unlimitedly. And we are limited. So the point Prabhupada is making is that God is a person, but he's unlimited, or we could say the supreme person. We're also persons, but we're very small, we're very minute, and we're not big-time controllers. We like to control things, that's our nature, because they're in God. But we have very little ability to control. For example, we cannot control the weather. And our greatest sympathies are with the persons who got affected by this hurricane, typhoon, which I think is the first time. I can't remember. So obviously it's not nice. It's not nice at all. But this is the nature of living in this material world. It's precarious. That word precarious means you're treading on thin ice. You don't tread on thin ice. It's not smart. It can crack and then you go under. So living in this material world, it's precarious, it's dangerous. We never know what's around the corner. We never know what's around the corner. My father, living in England, he was a pilot. He's passed away now, and he said, I just remember, that it's safer to drive at night. Now this is England now, England. It's safer to drive at night than the daytime, because at night you can see the lights of the car coming, although it may be around the corner. But he didn't apply that to South Africa, where there is a car, but it has no lights, and that's quite standard. Therefore, we have a very high accident rate. Well, it's not accident, it's road collision rate, actually, in this South Africa country. So treading on thin ice, precarious, dangerous. So getting back to that original statement, Prabhupada says, Krishna speaks, we speak, Krishna hears, we hear, and Krishna eats, and we eat. Like, I think I can detect the smell of what they're cooking. Can you also get it? The samosas and the ghee and, all that nice stuff. So we smell, Krishna smells, Krishna eats, we eat. But our eating is different. When we overeat, we get sick. Stomach. And I can support that because I've been in hospital with stomach problems. But Krishna doesn't have those types of problems. Stomach problems, colon problems, etc. So we offer prasad, we offer bhoga. Bhoga means the food, and then Krishna accepts it. He can accept it just by looking at it, and then we take those remnants. But even taking the remnants, we should be a little cautious. The deity eats, we should eat for health. We shouldn't overeat too much rich food. But that's not applicable to Lord Chaitanya or Lord Jagannath. I think in Jagannath Puri, 56 different types. I'm not sure whether it's 56 varieties or 56 offerings, but it can't be 56 offerings because that would be all the time. So I think 56 varieties. But I know in the Jagannath Puri temple, they do not offer potatoes. And that's one of our favorite. Aloo. Potato. They don't offer because they don't offer. It's their culture. Neither do they offer carrots. And as far as I know, tomatoes. Quite strict. So Krishna eats, we also eat. Krishna hears, we also hear. But we can just hear one person who's speaking to us, perhaps in front of us. But if billions and billions of people are saying their prayers, like on Janmashtami or Ram Navami, or perhaps Nrsingadev's appearance, millions, they're praying to Lord Nrsingadev, he can hear each one of them. And not only hear, but you don't even have to say it. Just within the mind. He, Krishna, Jagannath, Nrsingadev, their expansion is Shirodakshai Vishnu, Super Soul. So they're in the heart, and they can see the sentiments. They can see your mood. Even you can't speak. You may be illiterate. You're not able to speak the language or whatever. But the Lord, the Paramatma, the Lord in the heart, He sees, He can detect your motives and your disposition, and He reciprocates accordingly. As you surrender, the Lord reciprocates accordingly. Ye ye tam mams papajante, as you surrender. So, according to your mood of surrender, Krishna reciprocates, Jagannath reciprocates, Nrsimhadev reciprocates. We should try to approach the Lord in a pure mood, asking or inquiring, how can I serve you? Not, how can you serve me? This is not so appropriate, but it's also accepted that you may approach God for material purposes. Prabhupada writes, anyone who approaches the Lord for any purpose at all, that's word for word, any purpose at all, is a Mahatma, a great soul. We have in South Africa and throughout the world people who desperately want to be wealthy or educated or healthy, but they don't approach God. But then there are others that do. So even though you may have ato jignasya atati jnana cha bharatasabaha, you may have desire for wealth, you may be inquisitive, you may be in distress because of some disease or calamity. If you are pious, you can approach the Lord. But you have to be pious. Now there is the rub. The people that don't approach, they're not that pious. And even if they have some conception of God, they may blame God. And we see this. They blame God. Why God did this? Can't He see I'm living here in Phoenix? I've got my house. I mind my own business. And every Sunday I come and I offer 3 sticks of incense and 1 banana. And on my birthday, I offer coconut. 1 big coconut. Can't He see my devotion? So, one has to be pious to approach God. One has to be pious. So this is from past life. So all of you, because you're sitting here and you're receptive to the holy name and Bhagavad Gita and Lord Jagannath, this means in your past life you also came in contact with devotion or bhakti. Devotion means bhakti. So you're actually carrying on from a past life. You're carrying on. You can't remember. So many things we can't remember, but still you're carrying on from the past. And the purpose of this human form of life is to become advanced so we can directly speak with the Lord and hear His instructions or loving words. So this will also come when you become more advanced. On a lower stage, we are all on a lower stage. You can't just talk to God. You talk to Lord Jagannath or Lord Chaitanya, and you're not actually on a lower stage, you're not going to get an answer. But the Lord's representative, who's the Guru, you can ask the Guru and you can get some answer. So the guru, the bona fide guru, is the representative of Jagannath, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Krishna. But guru has to be bona fide also. But then when we become more advanced, yes, you can have darshan, you can see the Lord. Prabhupada writes, Canto 8, Chapter 24, Text 51, I'm pretty sure. The devotee in a spiritual body returns to the personality of Godhead and plays and dances with him. Plays and dances. So that's the spiritual world. Vrindavan. Play, cowherd boys, dance with Krishna. People like this dancing affair. And if we look on the internet, there are many different types of dancing. There's ballroom dancing. There's ballet dancing. There was one devotee, he left his body, but before he was a ballet dancer. And he was in Cape Town, from America, Nandana Prabhu. And on kirtan, I remember in Cape Town we go on kirtan, he'd go in the front and do ballet dancing. And he was very tall, so very impressive. So ballet dancing, my auntie actually was a world ballet dancer and went all over the world doing ballet dancing. What other types of dancing? You know more than me. What other types of dancing? Oh, hip hop. Hip hop. What else? Oh, waltzing, dancing, country dancing, many types. So where's it all come from? It comes from the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, they also dance. Even the great Vaishnava, Vakishvara Pandit, he lived in Jagannath Puri with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and one time he danced for 72 hours. That's non-stop. And then he said to Lord Chaitanya, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas that can sing, and when they sing, I will dance. And then Lord Chaitanya said, my dear Vakishvara Pandit, it is almost like you have one wing and you're flying. And Vakishvara Pandit, he's an incarnation of Aniruddha. So the quadruple expansion of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So he's not a jiva. He's an expansion of Lord Sankarshan. So he appeared 500 years ago, and his main service, it seems, was to dance. And he loved it. So this dancing is there in the spiritual world. And dancing, many festivals. So also within our ISKCON, we have big festivals, and the Vaishnavas will also dance. So it's one of the methods of, it's one of the angas of devotional service. So in the spiritual world, there's unlimited variety. Unlimited variety. And this material world, for us, South Africa, we're seeing a reflection, a dim reflection. For instance, there's water. There's the river There's the together, and various rivers. So in Vrindavan, there's the river Jamuna. That's the original, the river Ganges. Ganges comes from the higher planets. It actually comes from Vaikuntha, and then it comes through on the higher planets. It's called the Mundakini. And then on this earthly system, it's called the Ganges. And then it goes down to the lower planets. And this Ganges water purifies wherever it goes. So it flows into the sea. It comes from the Himalayas, flows into the Bay of Bengal. So the sea is purifying also. This is why often when someone leaves their body, they're cremated. Even in the Hindu society, community, they offer the ashes to the sea. Best is to offer to the Ganges, but that means you have to go to India. And if you went right now, it would be very hot. Be too hot for you, actually. Or the river Jamuna, and many sacred rivers in India. Saraswati, Jalangi, many sacred rivers. But we don't see sacred rivers in the West. That idea is not really there. So we see in this material world cows, they also exist in the spiritual world, peacocks, birds. But in the spiritual world, they're all spiritual. And there's no old age, there's no disease, there's no enmity. Here, in the material world, the animals will attack each other, sometimes, not always. But the dogs will attack, or the lion. But in the spiritual world, there's no enmity. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we look around us and we see trees and rivers, mountains, and we see men and women and cows, these are all reflections of what is existing in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the original source of all these items or personalities. And there you have the Supreme Person. So who's the Supreme Person? Krishna, playing a flute. And then you have Radharani. So Srimati Radharani is described by Prabhupada, the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, representing the worldly feminine nature. And when she recommends you to Krishna, Krishna will accept you. Therefore, the devotees in Vrindavan approach Radharani. Tender-hearted, feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, representing the worldly feminine nature. In the material world, ladies are also tender-hearted, but sometimes they're not tender-hearted, isn't it? And they can even have abortions, and they can also be vindictive. Although according to statistics, most murders are performed by men, but still. But in the spiritual world, it's pure. Everything is very pure. So this is our ultimate destination. As I quoted from the 8th canto, the devotee, assuming a spiritual body, returns to the Supreme Lord, plays and dances. And then in the next verse, Prabhupada writes, the purpose of life is to live with the personality of Godhead, play with the personality of Godhead, eat with the personality of Godhead, and dance with the personality of Godhead. So that's quite nice, huh? Dance, eat, play, and live. And this is the ultimate goal of life. And it's written there, 8th canto, chapter 24. I'm pretty sure, text 53. So this is our ultimate goal, to leave this material world, which for us means KwaZulu-Natal, and to promote ourselves to the spiritual world, where there's no old age, disease, birth, and death. There's no COVID, there's no SARS, there's no Durban riots. One is eternal. You have an eternal spiritual body. And there you associate not just with Krishna, but you associate with Krishna's associates, like Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, cowherd boys, etc. Also, your destination, or you may be inclined to go to Vaikuntha. And in Vaikuntha, there's unlimited planets. And one of those planets, Lord Nrsimhadev resides. So you may have some attachment to Lord Nrsimhadev, and you may go to Vaikuntha. You may also have some genuine, swabhaviki means natural attachment to Ramchandra, like Hanuman, or Sugriva, or Angada. So then, you won't be so much interested in Vrindavan, or even Vaikuntha. You want to go to Ayodhya. And there you see Ramchandra, greenish in color, with beautiful Sita, Lakshman, Hanuman, etc. Or there are some devotees, they're very interested and they're aspiring for Dwarka. Dwarka is on the west coast of India, and there Lord Krishna, he lives in opulence. 4 hands, no flute. In Dwarka there is no flute, no peacock feather, not so much flower garlands, not so much foliage, but more gold and diamonds and sapphires. Opulence, it's called Aishwarya, opulence. So it depends on one's aspiration, and as you advance, this becomes a little clearer. But from the spiritual point of view, Vrindavan actually is the highest. But that doesn't mean that a resident Jagannath Subhadra Balaram Ki Jai. So when I use the word highest, it's not a material conception. The residence of Vrindavan, it's absolute. Therefore, we also worship the residents of Vaikuntha. And we also worship the residents of Ayodhya and Dwarka. It's not that they should be minimized or castigated or even criticized. It's the spiritual world. Krishna accepts the service of the cows. He accepts the service of the tree, which gives him shade when he's on Govardhan Hill, but he also accepts the service of the gopis. And he accepts it equally, but still there is, Rupa Goswami has explained, there's, from the spiritual point of view, higher and lower. Yeah. So Krishna is understood as the avatari, the source of all incarnations. We worship Krishna, we chant Krishna's name. That includes the worship of Ram, Nrsimhadev, Narayan, etc. But as we become more spiritually advanced, we may have an attachment, not sentimental attachment, but a genuine spiritual attachment to particular pastimes of the Lord. So we can simply continue chanting Krishna's holy name. The holy name of Krishna includes all other names because it's the highest name, therefore Maha Mantra. Lord Jagannath is Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in Jagannath Puri for 18 years, and it's a very special place, Jagannath Puri. This is Jagannath Puri temple also, so this is representing the Jagannath Puri in Odisha in India. And we pray to Lord Jagannath, but we pray even more to Lord Chaitanya, who is residing there. And actually we pray even more to the associates of Lord Chaitanya. Because Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, that a devotee should be more concerned. We should be more concerned about getting the mercy of a devotee than the mercy of the Lord himself. In other words, you can't approach Krishna directly, Nrsimhadev directly, Ram directly, but you can approach their devotees. And you can approach the devotees of their devotees of their devotees. So this is why Vaishnavas, or devotees, are worshipped, and they're very special. We have on the altar that Guru Parampara. So we worship the Vaishnavas. And that worship should be confidential, very intimate, and complete and total, not just some external worship. Like there's a word, anustanaki, means official. We're not interested in official. It is there, it's something official, but we want to go more deeper than that. And we want to make our heart or consciousness one with the consciousness and the heart of these Vaishnavas like Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Bhaktivinoda, Narottam, Rupa and Raghunath. Yeah. And then what they have in their heart comes to us. It flows into our heart. That's what we want. They have pure love for Radha and Krishna. Krishna does not have love for himself, but his devotees have love for him. So we approach humbly the Vaishnavas, like Rupa and Raghunath, Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada, and his sincere disciples and grand disciples. And we pray that what you have in your heart can please come to me. So we make ourselves, in that sense, one with the heart of these Vaishnavas, called Mamita, one. Not that you merge, like we're all one in this temple, but we're still individuals. I'm one with this seat, but I'm different to the seat. So we make ourselves one in consciousness with the heart of these Vrindavan Rasik Vaishnavas. The example Prabhupada Rupa Goswami give, you put an iron into a fire, and that iron becomes like the fire. It becomes red hot. But it's not the fire. The iron is always different to the fire, but it becomes one with the fire. So we become one with the consciousness or internal devotion of great personalities like Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Narottam, Rupa and Raghunath, and then what they have in their hearts can automatically flow into our hearts. So that's called mamita, or one with, or another word is avesh. Avesh means to become one with, but as I mentioned, not Mayavadi one with, but Vaishnav one with. It's It's a little different. So please continue chanting Krishna's holy name. Try to become more serious. Sadhu Sangha. Take prasad. Always respect Jagannath, Subhadra and Balaram. They've chosen to come here. We're very fortunate. Previously, this Jagannath here, he was traveling around in my bus. And sometimes he would be in Richards Bay, and sometimes he'd be in Marisburg, and sometimes he would be in Port Shepstone. But then he said, enough. I'm tired of traveling around in this old bus. It was a British Leyland bus that I made into a temple. And he said, I want my own temple. So he inspired different devotees. And they built this temple. And now he's staying put, not moving. So it's our good fortune. So we should come and take his darshan. Jagannath Subhadra Balaram ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai. So thank you for coming. It's nice. I know it's a little cold and windy, but you're taking advantage of this Namahata on Tuesday and all other programs also. When senior Vaishnavas come, like Devaki, she came recently, lady, and Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, any senior, anyone, and you can hear, then take advantage, rather than sit in front of the TV and eat your chocolate bar and your crisps and your Diet Coke. Come to the temple. Go Premanandi. Like to ask anything? Yes?
Maharaj, I was studying to lecture Prabhupada in South Africa. I just did a quick calculation. This year will mark the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada here in South Africa. 19 October 1974.
No, he came 75.
75, sorry.
So next year, if it had been this year, we would be talking about it. There would be festivals and.
Right, can you give us an account of, there's a picture of you doing art in Bashir Prabhupada in South Africa, and also you did the Asasana, where you did the Asasana, that you were instrumental in making Bashir Prabhupada.
I made the Vyasasana, yeah.
Just tell us something about those.
Yes. Yeah, the GBC, the temple president, was the Krishna Maharaj. Because I was the most submissive and also the most stupidest, he asked me to make the seat. I don't know, some or other, I had some practical knowledge, like I could change a light bulb, which I did in Prabhupada's room. So he said, yeah, build a seat. So usually you draw a plan, isn't it? Like a plan, you get a tape measure. So none of that. My plan was up here, and I just did it. And I had this idea of the back bending, and then the idea of making it, putting in buttons or something or other, and making it, I don't know what is the expression. Padding something, yeah, padding. And so as I made the seat, it got bigger and bigger. It just got bigger and bigger. So it was a little too big, because we put it in the one room, in the temple room, we had that house in Westville. So it was simply a house. So you have a lounge, and this massive seat took up probably 1/4 or 1/5 of the whole room. And it was too high. So when Prabhupada got on it the first time, it was awkward. So then I had to build another step. So I quickly built another step like this. So Prabhupada would stand on that step and then go onto the seat. So then when he stood on that step, it bowed, it bent. So I thought, oh, big trouble, big trouble. So I had to put something in the middle. There was hair and there was this wood. So I had to put something in the middle so it didn't bend too much. And then when we put up the seat, the Vyasasan, at the different programs, in Durban Town Hall, Marisburg Town Hall, Lakshmi Narayan, Elodium Civic Center, there were 3 ladies who were in the temple. Very nice. Venerati, she got initiated, and 2 others. So they used to decorate the Vyasasan with carnations. So before Prabhupada sat on the seat, after they'd finished, I would have to go and check that they didn't leave any pins. Like any pins pointing upwards. Because when you put the carnation on the back and you decorate, you usually use a pin. So I had to check, because that would be the worst thing. Prabhupada sits on a pin. So I was your pin man. Yeah. And then when Prabhupada left, we used the same seat. Well, when Prabhupada became apricot, we used the same seat for the zonal acharya, Jayatirtha Prabhu. And then some or other the seat, vanished. I don't know what happened to it. So there's no remnants. There's only some photographs now. So I don't know where actually the seat went to. There was a GBC, this is after Prabhupada had left, instruction that when the Guru is alive, you cannot use his seat or shoes. But other things that he may have given you, like a pullover or something, you can use. But when the Guru is apricot, that means left, it's all sacred. Everything is sacred. So there's one devotee who tended to misinterpret and get things wrong. He thought, right, it's all sacred, Prabhupada's left, we have to burn it all. So the blankets that Prabhupada used, I remember, they were the synthetic ones, he burnt them all. So I think also the Vyasasan might have. But then no, Jayatirtha came, that's right, in Unit 3B, and he was sitting on the seat, so it was later than that. But various personal items of Prabhupada ended up getting burnt. But this is how it was in those days. We didn't always think properly. Anything else you'd like to ask? What's that?
Why they don't offer potatoes and carrots and tomatoes and Jagannath?
Yes, you should go, catch a flight, and go Jagannath Puri and ask them. They're very conservative. They wouldn't even allow electricity in the Jagannath Puri temple until something like 1950. And they're so conservative, obviously, you're in a white body or black body, you can't go in. But even your South African Indian, they won't let you in. You have to sneak in. So the way they know when you're coming up, you're South African Indian perhaps. So they look at you, the guards, They stand at, there's 4 gates. So Nishinga Dwara gate, that's the one I know. And they have sticks, bamboo sticks, like the police, bamboo sticks. And they look at you and they try to figure out from your shoes or your bangles or your hairstyle whether you're Indian or imported Indian. But the real way they find out is by talking to you. And then they find out your accent. See? And they say in Hindi or Bengali, and they speak to you, and you're from Phoenix, and you say, "Hi man, why can't I come in? Huh? I'm a Hindu." And then immediately they'll tap you on the legs, maybe, or push you away or something, or just say something. You can't come in. But you can sneak in. You can sneak in, and you can try if you want. Have you been in?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you? You haven't been? Has Sudan been in? Yes. Savakanti not?
I've been with Sarathi.
Huh?
I went with her inside.
That's why you got in. Because you went with her. Yeah, so they're very conservative, and they're so conservative that they wouldn't even let Indira Gandhi, who at that time or previously was the Prime Minister of India, they wouldn't let her in because I think her father or grandfather wasn't a Hindu. I think he was a Parsi. So she didn't come directly from Hindu. They're very... so it's going on now. But if you bribe, paisa back, especially dollars, then you can always sneak in. But we have to think that Haridas Thakur, he wouldn't go in because he considered himself very fallen. He wasn't. He was an incarnation of Lord Brahma. But he didn't go in. He didn't even walk anywhere near the entrance because he was afraid that some of the priests would touch him by mistake and get contaminated. And Rupa Goswami wouldn't go in, and Sanatana Goswami wouldn't go in, out of humility, because they consider themselves outcasts. So you can use the logic. We are in Rupa Goswami's line, we're Rupanugas, and Namacharya Haridas Thakur. We worship him, but they didn't go in. So we should think now, should I go in or not? So personally, even if I was allowed, I wouldn't. I don't think. But if I was there, I would have to reconsider. But Lord Chaitanya, of course, went. So, yeah, they no potato, no carrots. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, of course, didn't eat carrots, but Prabhupada allowed us. What's not such a big deal. Tomato. It basically is anything that's not from India. If it's not from India, it's not. And even I was reading in some of these temples, or they have this idea that the milk has to be from a pure cow that is not an introduced breed from outside India. Sometimes cows, like there's Jersey cows, Friesland cows, Brahmin cows, but that cow has to come in a pure line and be your Indian cow. And there is some controversy about this. It's all very, a little bit finicky.
sorry. I just needed to understand your emotion when you were doing the Arti Kushal program. What was it feeling like performing the Arti Kushal program?
Oh, well, I've got to be honest. I was 23 years old. 23 years old. I didn't actually know my right hand from my left hand. I'm ringing the bell, looking towards Prabhupada, just trying to stay awake. So there wasn't really any deep emotion. But I was just very fortunate to be there at that time. And I can basically say that for all of the disciples of Prabhupada. We were all, not just newcomers, but newcomers. We really didn't know what was going on, but we just, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, found ourselves associating. Now, 50 years later, 55 years later, we're having some realization of how fortunate we were, and there may be some more internal thoughts. Hopefully some more internal thoughts come in. But in those days, we were all, honestly, just beginners. There are some devotees that say, yes, Prabhupada came down the steps and I saw this effulgence and I got knocked back and I didn't know where I was, and it's a poetic exaggeration. It wasn't actually like that. That after you've been practicing bhakti for 50 years, no, it's all different. It's all different. So thank you very much. May Srila Prabhupada Jagannath, our Guru Parampara, bless all of you. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Would you send with a short kirtan?
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Prabhupada ki. His Holiness Partha Sarathi Das Goswami Maharaj Gaura Premanandi.